In today's video, I capture my last but best iceberg image. I promise, no more icebergs after this one. I get pestered by a vagrant. We visit an ancient Viking village to enjoy some handheld landscape photography. And Amanda does some very saucy but awkward dancing in the camper. But before we get into it, I've got an announcement. I'm launching a new channel called Fototripper Studio, where I show you how I process many of the images that you see in these Fototripper videos. So if you want to learn how to improve your own landscape photography, click on the link in the description to subscribe to my new channel and help me get it off the ground. Okay, let's roll today's video. I think you're gonna love this. Well, it's day 5 of sideways rain. I've had enough. I'm absolutely sick of it. It's time to leave.
I found the biggest iceberg. Bigger than anyone you've seen.
How big?
It's like 250 feet.
I'm listening.
It's out in Kirpon.
Well, what's the weather like?
Well, it's sideways rain, obviously. Wait. Tomorrow, it's supposed to clear.
It's gonna clear tomorrow?
Yeah, don't you trust the weather here?
Absolutely not. But what are we gonna do for 24 hours?
I don't know, we could go to Mary Brown's, Tim Hortons, maybe the gas station and hang out. They have a mall.
All right then. So we went to check out the mall, but there's only so much delicious fried chicken you can eat at Mary Brown's, and there's only so much burnt coffee you can drink, while Alex works on his grinder profile in Timmy's. We were so bored, we almost turned to the hard stuff, which tastes like wood stain. So we decided to do a little bit of sightseeing in the pleasant Newfoundland weather. It was just lovely. After that, I figured I'd just donate my life savings to pay for some rich person's yacht, and then it was back on the road to find a place to park the camper. And yesterday we popped into a gift shop called Dark Tickle, and they had a dog in there that I fell in love with, and I'm a cat person, Mika. Let's go and see Mika, eh? Yeah. All right. Now, if my cats saw this video, I'd be in a lot of trouble. But luckily, they're not subscribed to this channel. But you could be if you'd just bosh that subscribe button and tickle that bell to get notifications. So we then drove to the very end of Newfoundland to find a good overnight spot and see what we could see. All right, so we've come to the very end of the road in the area of L'Anse Aux Meadows. Still haven't gone to the Viking settlement yet. That's back at the visitor centre, I think. But just look at these bergs that you could see. Hopefully you could see it on this. So way out to sea there is a pyramidal shaped berg. I'll try and get the other camera out and just film a bit more of a telephoto shot. I really love this island over here, which has got some sort of castle-like structures on it, even though it's just natural, but that looks kind of cool. And then if I just take the window down, you probably can't see this on this camera, but way off in the distance there's an absolute monster. I can just tell that one is humongous. Very tall looking structure. So quite a bit to work with here. It's a beautiful area, lots of dramatic cliffs and islands. So I think we'll wait for the rain to stop. Maybe I'll send out the sky camera to that one over there.
This place is cool.
So when we came out here the other day, maybe you could see it, that little pointy blue thing, which is actually colossal. That was a giant slab of cheese with a shelf, a flat shelf on the top. Massive. Right, so I'm way out to sea now with the drone. And I just want to give you like a little compositional tip that I think you might find helpful. And this is applicable no matter what kind of photography you're into. And I'll try and do this before this thing runs out of battery. So if I just drop the drone a little bit lower than it is now, you can see it sinking by looking at the iceberg. Now the iceberg has moved in towards where the mountain is. So I'm just going to move a bit closer, and then I'll get even lower. So as I get lower, the iceberg looks a lot more impressive and imposing, but it's kind of interfering with the background. And when I compose these types of shots, my subject, which is in this case the iceberg, I also like it to be, you know, I like it to be imposing and all that, but I also like it to not interfere too badly with the background. So if I mean, I'll take that shot, take a few there. So I quite like that shot, but I feel like if I just stretch my virtual knees and stand up tall by pushing the drone up a little bit higher, it's still really impressive and imposing. But look at that, I'm now revealing the mountain behind it and that other iceberg just off into the distance. And if I angle the camera down just a little bit and then maybe move back just a smidge, it's got everything. So now you can see the part of the iceberg that's underwater. You can see the full imposing iceberg, but now behind it, instead of that mountain being interrupted by the berg, you can see the mountain clearly. There's a nice little bit of space of ocean there. Oh, like that wave. Oh, look at that. Fantastic. And you've got that other iceberg that's in the distance. And to me, that's a far more compelling shot. So that's really just a little tip about simplification of your background in relation to your foreground. Anyway, I'm going to keep filming this. This is absolutely majestic.
I really love the multitude of different colours that you can see trapped in this massive glacial slab.
Now it's been chipped away at by the rain and the waves and the wind, but it's actually a bit more interesting. So I'm going to get the drone out to that and see what I can find.
What a difference 2 days can make. This iceberg was almost unrecognisable, but I had an idea.
Okay, one thing that I'm learning about icebergs is that there's always one side that has some waves crashing against it, and then obviously the other side doesn't. And I often find that the side that does have the waves crashing against it is the most interesting. But what I love about this one, let me just circle around this berg here, is this flat wall that you can see. And what I'd like to do is get the drone really close to it and maybe just take a still where the whole frame is filled by that big wall, because look at the texture and the colour in that. So I'm just going to creep right up to it. Oh, it's a bit nerve-wracking. Getting a bit closer, and I'm just filling the frame with, oh god, oh, I'm getting nervous. Oh, back up. It's very difficult to try and get the scale of this. So I filled the frame with this massive wall. Let's get that shot. I'm gonna move back a bit. Get that shot. Having done a 360 now around the whole iceberg, I've decided that I really like it from the opposite side, so I'm going all the way back around here. And that's basically what I do with every kind of photography, is I do a 360 and I try and figure out the most pleasing angle. And I think when I get round the back here, just look at that. I love not only this diagonal that you can see slashing through the frame there, but of course the rest of the iceberg underwater. Now, if I had the stones for it, I would get super low to the ground, which I'm doing right now. Oh, it's a bit twitchy, is that? Oh, God. And then really get close and just make those angles as distorted as I can make them. Oh God, that's making me a bit twitchy. So now I really like the distortion I'm getting out of the camera lens being so wide there, but it's cut off this side of the berg, so I'm going to have to do a pano for that. So let's just go into stills mode. Alright, now I'm going to try and get a bit closer.
and a bit lower. I'm just floating just above the water there. Get a little bit more underexposed. Put it in cine mode, make it a bit softer on the gimbal. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Well, the pano worked out, but without any interesting light, the shot was just okay. But maybe Alex would be right, and tomorrow we might get some very interesting light. My good luck finally ran out and the rain came back, and the cosy bed in the camper was calling.
So we'll just lay here and just wait until it's tomorrow. That's not a sound effect, that is what it's doing. Now, I actually kind of like that sound. You know, if it's just a little bit, like, you know, an afternoon while you're out camping, it's kind of a nice sound, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when it's 5 days straight, I'm sick of it now.
I'm ready for summer.
Oh God, wouldn't it be nice to experience the summer?
Yeah.
To all of those that complain about my videos being full of cold locations, you're right. Things are going to change. I can't deal with this for much longer.
We're gonna go to Mexico?
No, we're going to go somewhere. But we'll go somewhere warm, I don't know where.
Florida?
No, we'll go somewhere that's photogenic.
Oh.
Well, what time is it?
11:11.
Well, it's 11 a.m. I've had about 10 hours of sleep, and I do have a face like Madonna after an industrial application of military-grade Botox. What's your face like, love?
A scrunched up basset hound.
A scrunched up basset... You don't look like a basset hound, love.
Well, what's my face like then?
It's like a sweet jelly bean.
Well, that's pretty smooth.
And sweet.
And tasty.
The plan today is to go to a place called L'Anse Aux Meadows, which I believe is an ancient Viking settlement. But I think it's closed, so we might have to shoot it from afar, or you could use some charm to sort of get somebody to give us a free tour. How would you do that?
Hey, show me your lot.
Right. And basically, we're playing a game of charge the drone batteries. There's still massive icebergs that need to be shot desperately. Because there's no sun in Newfoundland ever, it's just full cloud cover all of the time. So getting the jackery charged up from the solar panels it's a slow and painful experience, and that's how I'm powering my drone batteries. So I'm not shooting quite as much as I want to. Maybe you guys are sick of seeing icebergs. I don't know. What's been your favourite thing about Newfoundland so far, love?
The couple days that we were inland with the heat.
There was some sun for 2 days. I lied earlier when I said it was 100%. They do get 4 days of sun per year, and I think we saw 1.5 of those, didn't we?
Well, they get lots of nice days, just not where we go.
All right, shall we mobilise then? Get going?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get any more epic than this. We've got an ancient Viking settlement with a giant iceberg in the background, big dramatic cliffs. It's absolutely brilliant. The only thing that would make it better is if there was a whale flying out of the ocean. And in fact, I've got myself a personal photography goal for this trip. What I really want is an old ancient fishing stage, and then in the background there's a giant iceberg, and then above that there's a full moon, which we have tonight. It's full moon. Or was it last night?
Last night, but we didn't see it.
But yeah, of course we didn't see it. But you know, almost full moon. That'll do me. That's my ambition for this trip. I don't know if I'm going to get it, but I'm going to be on the lookout for it, because you've got to have a goal, haven't you? But look at this business.
Minus the boardwalk, this was like stepping back in time 1,000 years.
I'm going to guess that these were for livestock, chickens. I don't know. It's actually closed. The staff were in the building up there, but they're preparing for a cruise ship to come in. So sadly we're not going to get the personal tour today, but at least they've let us come and stagger around and look at things. Oh, look at this. Now, who knew that the Vikings invented adjustable skylights? Look at that, hinged for your pleasure. That door has got to be 16 feet tall. Plenty big enough to fit the camper in.
Do you think that if it was open, they'd actually take you into those?
Oh yeah, I think we'd get the internals if they were open. Now, I don't think that padlock is authentic Viking though. I think that's modern day.
L'Anse Aux Meadows is actually a Norse settlement, whereas Vikings, I believe, were more of a specific warrior class of the Norse. I think, anyway. Post a comment if I'm wrong.
Right, so I was going to make a cheeky remark about how I didn't realise that the ancient Vikings had invented spray foam insulation for gap filling. But then I got a bit closer and I realised this is actually wool. They've stuffed wool in the gaps to, you know, as a draft excluder to prevent the heat from getting out, prevent the wind from getting in, which is a pretty cool idea actually. I don't know if they invented that. Who knows? It could have been the Scottish, the English, who knows? But I've never seen that used before. It's a good idea though, isn't it? But anyway, I'm going to get a couple of handheld shots with the Hasselblad of just close-ups of the doorways and maybe just the whole building. I think that's a church over there. I like the way that the church and this building kind of line up with the mountain in the background. So we're going to get a couple of shots of that and we'll see how it looks. But looking at this, I wish we'd come in summer, because you imagine this when it's all green and just glowing a beautiful green. Anyway, I'll get a shot of this. Yeah, I wish it was all bright green. Let's get a shot of this one over here. That's some sturdy construction, is that, isn't it? I love that sort of weathered silvery look that you get to it. It just looks silver, absolutely gorgeous. I wonder how old this, I mean obviously this can't be the original timbers, they've obviously rebuilt it, I would think. But I wonder how old that is and how long it lasts and what kind of wood it is. If you know, post a comment, let me know. Let's get a shot from over here. I just like the way that these two buildings line up and then I've got that mountain in the distance there. So I'll try and get that shot.
Now this image has had a little bit of Photoshop trickery. Here's what I did. Look at that boring white sky. Yeah, no one wants to look at that, so I did a sky replacement. And then I noticed my camera bag on that bench, so I cloned that out. And then I did some contrast and color enhancements. If you want to watch a free tutorial, check out my new channel, Fototripper Studio. There's a link in the description.
Pretty cool, eh? Oh, look at that for a doorway. Let's get a shot of that.
That's the kids' house.
See, I like this, all this sort of dripping moss growing over the header. That's all I know about construction and carpentry. That's called a header. And these are posts. That's it. That's all I know.
Can you imagine if that was your front door, complete with dripping moss and wool draft excluders?
If something like this popped up on MLS or realtor.ca for a reasonable price, would you buy it?
No.
No, you wouldn't buy it. What else would look brilliant, as if it was completely covered in snow, like if you came in winter, these would make some brilliant shots. Let's come back in January, love, when it's a lot colder than it is now, if you could believe such a thing.
Now because we didn't have a guide because it was closed, we just had to guess at things. And I'm going to guess that this was a goat house.
Now I know what this stuff is. Have a look at that. That's peat. These are like basically peat bricks. And you can burn this. You can use this as fuel to heat the home. They're pretty chunky bricks, those. You see that kind of thing all through Scotland. You see these fields that are all divided and they're called peat cuts, and you can go in and chop up the peat and then burn it. I think obviously you have to dry it out first. I'm not an expert. I just know what it is, that's all. Maybe you have to dry it out for months or even years before you can burn it. I have no idea. That's a nice big pile of peat you've got there, love.
I grew it myself.
And it's also a bit of a preservative as well. You might have heard of, is it called peat bog man? There was a man that died centuries ago and got trapped in a peat bog, and it preserved his body for centuries. And his body was kind of like leathery, but he still had all of his skin and his bones were intact, as if he'd been mummified almost. And that's something that you can do with peat. So if you wanted to dispose of a body, don't bury it in a peat bog. It'll come back to haunt you.
That was dark.
That was a bit dark.
It was time to say goodbye to Norstead and hello to a gourmet lunch.
Well, it is Arctic out there, so we've come back in the camper, cranked the furnace, and it's time for something hot and tasty. So I've got my Ichiban noodles, chicken. What you got, love?
Rice ramen.
Gluten-free.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I'm going to do them right this time on the stove, because last time they were disgusting. I was just eating a crunchy noodle block.
Carbohydrate, flavour, no protein. Absolute garbage. Time for my disgusting heart disease to get warmed up. Right, so while I wait for my bowl of MSG...
Smell like cup of soup in here. Cup of soup, cup of soup.
As you can see, we're going stir crazy after 3 weeks in the camper. This is almost 3 weeks. We've got, what, 3 more days left?
I've never spent so much time in here.
Yeah, because you can't be outside, can you?
I am Top Chef America over here.
The green ramen noodles with a pouch of MSG.
Miso.
Oh, in goes the flavour. The trick with this is to eat the noodles before the bowl disintegrates. Disgusting. Actually, they're not bad. I just wish there was some meat or vegetables or just anything other than just noodles. Oh, it's just nice to have something a bit hot.
It's a steam zone.
You're a steam zone. I didn't say stop.
So after 3 weeks, we were done shooting icebergs. Or were we?
It is time to go home, back to Nova Scotia, to our lovely cute... Ooh, look at that monster. Is that the same one or a different one? Maybe I spoke too soon. Perhaps there's another one to be shot right now. Just one more, love. Look at that bugger there. Absolutely massive. That one's a new arrival, and I think it's got a hole in it. I think it's got an arch. I'm glad I've got just one drone battery left before full depletion, because it takes a full day to recharge them. So this will be my last. Oh, that's cool. That is fantastic. It's like a mountain. I think it's pretty close too. I'm going to say like 2 kilometers or something like that.
Looks like it's right there.
Oh yes, what a beauty. That is pretty impressive, that. Lovely bit of cloud behind it as well. Right, let's get cracking. So I have found the biggest, most impressive iceberg I've ever seen. This is an absolute beast, and oh man, I'm so impressed. I've got the shakes. Like, I'm actually shaking. This thing, I could not have asked for a better iceberg on my last day. So what I'm going to do with this one, oh god, the clouds are amazing. I'm trying to shoot a panorama. And so I'll just do you a sweep. So I'm basically taking this shot, then I move over to here, take this shot, then I move over to here, take this shot, and then over to here to take this shot. So it's a 4-shot pano. And I've learned my lesson. So this is my sweep. If you look at the top of the iceberg, it gets a bit tight round about there. And then as I move over to here, it gets tight again as that peak is moving over to the left. So I've learned my lesson that shooting it too tight just doesn't work. But the closer you can get to it, the more imposing it looks. And that's the look that I want. So I'm going to shoot this. One more shot there, another shot there. And then what I'm going to do, ooh, look at that wave coming in. Let's get that. And then I'm going to back off to a distance where I know that I've got enough cropping space in the frame. That will be a safer shot, but it won't be as imposing as this one. Because as I said, the closer you get to it, the more of an effect it has. But it's nice to have that backup plan, right? Oh, look at those clouds in the background. And so what I'm doing, like the one that I did the other day, is for each frame of the pano, I'm shooting several frames of different wave positions. And that's going to make it easier to stitch together in post, because it means that each position of the pano has an assortment of frames, and I can hopefully stitch it together. Oh my God, this is just unbelievable. Now what I could do is I could do a multi-row pano and get really close to it, and that would solve all my problems in terms of, you know, cropping space. But with this sketchy, it's 3 kilometers out in really high winds. I don't know if I dare. Now I'm getting a little bit lower so that you can see through that hole there. You know, it's kind of sketching me out as this, so I don't want to push my luck with this shot. Oh my God, look at that. Look at that gorgeous colour under the water. Anyway, if this shot turns out to be any good, here's a shot.
Well, that brings to an end the iceberg videos from Newfoundland. I promise, no more icebergs. Well, until we do the Iceland videos, but that's a different story. Now, I've got some bad news. I know that over the years, many of you have really enjoyed my gratuitous book plugs. I said book plugs of Chasing Awe with Gavin Hardcastle. Well, there are 4 copies left. It's pretty much sold out, and that is now coming to an end. You won't see any more of those. But the good news is you can still get a signed copy of Stories Within Stories by Gavin Hardcastle. And I can guarantee there'll be many more gratuitous plugs of this particular book. There is a link in the description. And you know what? This would make a brilliant early Christmas gift. Start planning now, because it takes a while to arrive. So yeah, link in the description for that. And it's a great way to support the channel. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it the old thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.